And while former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani insists he still has not made up his mind about entering the presidential race, well, he did just pay a visit to the all-important state of New Hampshire, a destination that tends to raise more than a few eyebrows at this point in the political season. So I sat down with the former mayor to get answers about 2012 and his intentions, plus his thoughts on the great debt debate. Let's take a look. Mr. Mayor, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm very good, Sean. How are you?
Giuliani. All right, I got to get this out of the way because I know you want to talk. We're going to talk real finances here.
Right.
A lot of rumors you're really thinking about making a run. Where are you with this?
Well, I was in New Hampshire last week, a couple of days. I got a lot of advice.
It's always suspicious.
Got a lot of advice about New Hampshire, which I think I understand. I got to think about the rest of the country. What kind of a chance do I really have? How are the candidates doing? Is anybody really looks like they can win? My objective is we cannot have President Obama after next year.
They can't.
This has been. I mean, look at what he's put us through with this whole debt thing. I mean, this is because the president doesn't lead. I mean, Republicans, Democrats fighting with each other in the House. The president has never outlined how he would do. This is outrageous.
No plan.
This would be like if I were when I were the mayor of New York. If I said I'm not going to do a budget, I'll let the city council.
Over 800 days in the Senate.
But he's done everything this way. He did health care this way. I mean, the reason health care turned out to be such a mess is he never had a health care plan. He waited for what the people in the House said, people in the Senate. And now he's working with Democrats, Republicans, trying to play two sides against the middle. Nobody knows what the heck he's doing.
He's not put down on paper what his plan is. But
that's the single biggest outrage here. If we default, and I hope we don't, but if we default, 90% of the responsibility is on the President of the United States, not on even the Democrats in the House or the Republicans in the House. It's on him. He's the leader of this country. He's the chief executive of the country, and he's yet to outline a plan because he's too darn afraid that he's going to have to pay political cuts, and he's pretending he wants to do all these big cuts. We know he doesn't want to do cuts. I know at least to be honest about it, he wants to do the minimum number of cuts and the maximum amount of tax increases, and then we should battle out that whole thing.
But the interesting thing to me is you took over New York City at a time where it was really a mess. And you were in the middle of one war after another.
Yeah, and always outlining my plan. From day one, the day after I got elected, I sat down. I very quickly selected a head of OMB, and we mapped out a plan, a strategy. It wasn't the greatest in the world, but it worked. And I was willing, to compromise, but it was my plan we were compromising off. I learned that from Ronald Reagan. I worked for Ronald Reagan. Day one, he had a strategy. He had to compromise it a little here and there. Ronald Reagan was great at saying, if you can get 80%, you won. But it was always his plan. He was leading. He was saying, these are the tax cuts we need. These are the reductions in spending we need. We got to do a 10% across-the-board cut. Then you fight about it. But it's the President of the United States who does the leading. And the reason we have a president that can't do it is, and you've made this point over and over, but just think about this. He's never done a budget before. We take a guy who's never done a budget, we give him the biggest budget in the world to run. Of course he's going to screw it up. He's never had executive responsibility. And now he's dealing with one of the most complex problems. This whole debt problem is an enormously complex problem. He's got two rigid groups on either side, right? We've got our Republicans who say no tax increases, maximum reductions. You got the Democrats who say, increase taxes to 80% if they could get their way.
Well, if they could. But here's the problem. You see, I think the Republican plan, number one, the president even said you don't raise taxes during a recession or an economic slowdown. We're still in an economic slowdown. Right. And it seems like you're right. The Democrats want to raise taxes. You mentioned Reagan. Reagan dropped the top marginal rate 70 to 28%. You lowered taxes as mayor.
Which is what should happen here.
Okay. So the president is just inflexible. He won't move on this. So the Republicans have passed now 2 bills in the House. They've done their job.
Right.
They've done what they were hired to do.
It's time for him to put up something.
Yeah.
Put up something. But unfortunately, I thought the whole plan of the Gang of Six, although it has some good elements to it, I like the tax reform. I like reducing the marginal rates. One of the things that I liked about it is it recognizes $1 trillion from tax reduction. It recognizes $1 trillion in additional revenue, which you get. It's very, very hard getting any of these government agencies to ever recognize that. On the other hand, it net raises taxes, which is a terrible mistake and would be a terrible drain on our economy. And the thing I don't like about it is we should not be raising taxes when we have a president who's already said, well, this is not the time to do it.
I've been bringing up the last couple of days my anger at the Republicans. I think, frankly, their negotiating tactics have been lame. Because here you had on the day cut, cap, and balance, which I think is a very solid plan to deal with problems in the short term and long term.
It's actually the only way out of it.
The only way out of it. Okay, so you agree with me and you agree with the House. But on that same day, then all of a sudden the president gets to steal the thunder and walk into the press room and say, no, we got another plan. So now the country doesn't even focus on. But the Republicans did this. They gave the president that opening. Why would they compete against themselves?
I mean, this is the problem when you don't have the White House. You don't have leadership. Like they don't have leadership. We don't. We have a House of Representatives, one set of leaders. We have a Senate where everybody's a leader, right? I mean, the Senate is 10 leaders, 15 leaders, 20 leaders, and no, they don't agree. You listen to them. They have different viewpoints about how to do it.
Yeah, well, it seems that if the president has no plan, and then we've got 3 Republican plans,
then we're negotiating against ourselves.
That's ridiculous.
Which is a terrible mistake, and I think I know the result here. I mean, the result is they're going to kick this thing down the road.
They're going to. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, this is a terrible mistake. I mean, we shouldn't default, but we also can't have this deficit. Both are equally crippling. It's hard to say which is worse. You got to deal with both if you want to straighten out our economy.
All right, now back to you and running for president. You got that question really good. You went right into the economics of everything. So you went to New Hampshire, and where are you now? I mean, you're assessing the situation.
Yeah,
I'm leaning for or against?
I'm not leaning. I'm thinking. I listen to a lot of people. I listen to their advice. Some think it's a good idea to run. Some think it isn't. I mean, so you listen. You try to assess the whole thing, and you also try to figure out, can you win some primaries after New Hampshire? And I don't want to do this just to, just to run. I want to do it only because I think I have the best chance of winning. And if I think somebody else has a better chance of winning, I don't want to spoil their chances. It's too important that we replace Obama.
When do you think you need to decide by?
Well, you got to decide by the end of the summer.
Okay, by the end of August?
End of September.
End of September.
August, September, something like that.
Last question. Is there any one person you see in the field now or any few people?
I like a lot of them. I like all of them. Some more than I'm going to keep that to myself until I decide what I'm going to do, because then you got to run against all of them.
Yeah, you don't want to say, I really like you.
Well, last time I did it with John McCain, I announced during a debate, if I wasn't running, I'd be supporting John McCain.
I don't know.
My staff got real angry when I did that.
I bet they probably did. Mr. Mayor, good to see you. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. And coming up to thrill up your leg, Obama Mania Media will get their spin on the great debt debate. Media Mash is next.